Okay, so thank you everybody. It's good to see a few new faces. So, Lara, welcome.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Good.
Excellent. So, Lara is CEO and founder of ImproveWell. But before we get into the details of that, we'll do what we normally do, which is go back in time and talk about Lara's journey. So, looking at your history, you sort of started out in almost like VC world and corporate relations, didn't you? So, do you want to give us an introduction there and sort of talk how you got involved in that and where that went?
Yeah. So originally, I've always loved science. So I'm someone that always wanted to study medicine, but to be honest, I was too scared to apply to med school for fear of failure. So I picked pharmacology. So everyone thought I was off to learn how to be a professional drug dealer at university. And after that, the sort of vocational route would have been for me to be working at a lab bench at Pfizer. And I decided that I wanted something a little bit more fast-paced. So I ended up kind of working in financial services initially before I realised there's just no healthcare there. So I joined a company called FTI Consulting, where I inherited 12 biotech and pharmaceutical customers, which was incredibly fast-paced. And then I went in-house to a private equity firm who did invest in healthcare. So where I've trained really is being in-house in public biotech companies, but most recently I was Director of Investor Relations for a healthcare private equity investment firm. So that was my 10-year move. I've made it. I'm Director of IR for a healthcare specialist investment firm. This is where I'm going to be for 10 years. So that was before.
And then what happened?
So, good question. So actually a friend of mine, a school friend of mine who had dedicated his career to the NHS, connected with me on LinkedIn and said, I've been following your career and I'm building a board for my healthcare charity, can I come and meet you? So I thought, okay, he wants one of my healthcare partners of my firm to join his board because, why else would he be coming to meet me? And actually he was asking me to get involved on the board of his healthcare charity. So I jumped at the chance and got involved with this social enterprise that he spent 10 years building. And while he was doing that, he's a frontline clinician, he came up with this idea of a junior doctor feedback app. And he said to me, look, there's nothing out there that can make that visible to management. I'm going to get a grant, I'm going to build this beta product and I'm going to do it. So I was on the board, I said, great, let me know if I can help. And I really loved this idea. I thought, why haven't I come up with that idea? So with the support of us, he as a board, he built it, piloted it, and customer was Guy's and St Thomas's, and they said, brilliant, we want to buy it. And at that point he looked at me and said, well, do you want to spin this tech out and found a business? So I basically quit my job and rented out my house and did it essentially. So I do it full time. He's full-time clinician in the NHS, so he's my eyes and ears on the ground, but taking a sort of non-exec role. So for the first 2 years it was really me, and now I've built a team of 8 people.
But let's step back a bit. So it surely wasn't an overnight decision. He didn't sort of ring you one day and say, can you come and join and spin this out? And you went, yeah, fine, move out of the house. How long did that? Because that's a pretty radical move, isn't it? From going from a well-established industry and a good profession that you saw yourself doing for 10 years to suddenly go, actually, no, I'm going to go do a startup.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't really know what the tipping point was. I mean, I loved the product. I just kind of thought to myself, how often does someone sort of come at you with an idea that you really believe in an industry that you really passionately believe in, having piloted it at the largest NHS trust in the country, where they've said, yeah, we really like it. I thought to myself, I mean, I never considered myself to be an entrepreneur, so I feel like a bit of a fraud sitting here saying I'm an entrepreneur because I didn't come up with the idea. But I just thought, when else am I going to get the chance to bring my skill set to the NHS and give it a go? But yeah, when I resigned, my bosses, there was 5 of them, thought I was crazy. So they just said to me, well, look, we'll hold your job for you when you get over this in 6 months' time and you can come back.
And so did you go into a position of salaried, or were you no salary, nothing?
No.
I mean, all the hard work can be done. He's built the product, he's got a customer. There's nothing to do after that, is there?
Sure. Yeah.
So you had a pilot user?
A very, very rough beta product. Okay. So essentially...
before we get that, can we just give everybody an idea of what ImproveWell is and what it does?
Sorry.
before we go into too much detail on the...
So it started life as a junior doctor feedback app. We've now evolved it essentially into a workforce engagement platform. So essentially, if you think of the Toyota Kaizen continuous improvement thinking, we've got a very skilled workforce across the frontline healthcare, and they've got all of the answers to the problems of the system. So what we've built is a digital solution that makes it easy to capture real-time data from doctors, nurses, porters, anyone working on the front line who know these small day-to-day improvements that when escalated to a system level can make a huge difference. So in a nutshell, it's a workforce engagement system focused on quality improvement.
So what it's doing is capturing ideas from people. So if you've got a suggestion for an improvement, the doctors or just literally put that into the app. Is that right?
So that's how it started.
Yeah.
That's our core feedback system, is theme-based improvement ideas. So it kind of empowers bottom-up change with a little bit of guidance from the top. So leaders can say, how do we improve the hospital at night? How do we improve your training? How do we improve communication? And then everyone can get involved. And then there are two other feedback systems. So we've got a workforce sentiment feature, so we can understand what's making a good or bad day at work, and help people understand how they can make the hospital a great place to work, because if you look after your staff, you give better care. And then we've got a surveys function to allow people to take regular pulse surveys and just get those answers a bit more regularly than the annual NHS staff survey, so they can be a bit more proactive in terms of the support they give their workforce.
And so what was it about the solution that sort of really grabbed you and got your interest? Can you put it down to one thing, or was it just a whole of a well-being initiative?
I think for me it was just the NHS. You know, right. I instead of being a doctor and maybe helping one patient at a time, this is my way of saying, right, I will use the skills that I've learned in my 14-year career beforehand to bring this digital solution to the NHS. This is a huge workforce that's under a huge amount of pressure. So if I can give them a tool to help them fix it themselves, that would be hugely rewarding for me. So even just as a junior doctor feedback app, I was in. And then we've partnered with organisations along the way, so every feature in our platform has come from frontline users, which again is hugely rewarding, because I'm walking through the wards, I'm talking to the users, and it's really rewarding seeing that working in practice as well.
So day one, you've given up your job. You start on your first day.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, this was a really weird day. So, funnily enough, we were lucky enough to get a place on the first Digital Health London Accelerator, which essentially accepted 31 startups, a very odd number, it was 31, to essentially help you sort of spread across the NHS. So I thought, brilliant, I'm on this accelerator, I'm going to nail it. And we did our first pitch there. Actually, before I'd left my job, so I couldn't go, but one of my co-founders' colleagues did it through the charity. And someone from NHS Improvement wanted to meet. So on my first day, I had this meeting with NHS Improvement, and I thought, brilliant, if anyone is going to help me, it's going to be NHS Improvement. So I printed off a slide deck. I got my mate in my previous job to print me off this little slide deck. It had 8 slides. 2 of them was the front cover and the back cover. And then there was a sort of bit in there about, the opportunity. It didn't have any screenshots because the product actually at that point was non-existent. I met with NHS Improvement, and the meeting lasted about 15-20 minutes, and they basically said, look, if you want to get taken seriously in this space, you need to speak to Amar at ELF. So I just wrote this down, great, thank you, and then I Googled Amar at ELF and put NHS, and quickly came to Dr. Amar Shah, who's the Chief Quality Officer of East London NHS Foundation Trust, who are global leaders in quality improvement. I thought, right, well, he's not going to take my call, so I'll put that in the CRM, which I didn't have. And I was lucky because I didn't know what to do day to day, but the accelerator was there. It was free. It was for 12 months. So they did have workshops. They had network. I can't underestimate the power of my amazing network. So it just gave me a bit of a framework to just go and do stuff, and it kind of went from there, really.
So at that stage, you didn't have anything built. There was no product built. So
the product had been built and piloted, but it wasn't ready, anywhere near ready for anyone to use it other than Guy's and St Thomas's. So my challenge was really to to try and get some funding to rebuild the product essentially for scale. So I needed to get another customer essentially to then help me sort of fund the development.
So I'm always fascinated by non-technical founders. So you're obviously a non-technical founder, and your co-founder as a clinician is non-technical.
No.
That always seems to me like an extraordinary steep hill to climb in terms of trusting an agency to build an app or trust somebody to build something for you.
Yeah.
How did you go about that process? Did you get external help? Did you just go for it? How did that work?
Yeah, so to date, to be honest, it's all been outsourced. So my first technical hire is my chief product officer, who is over there. So he's been with us a year as of next month, but before that it was basically just me. So we've worked with a few agencies. The product has kind of grown with arms and legs, So my model was I need to get another paying customer, and then I can get the development. I'm just really, really super detailed focused and organised, so I just was all over it essentially. I had to just make sure I knew what the spec was, I knew what was being built. But it was hard work because I can't code, I can't read code. I am heavily reliant on people building something and delivering it in a format that I can then sell.
But presumably your first customer, so guys gave you enough for you to understand what you had to do to make it better.
Yeah, exactly. So from that the initial product was really simple. It was just how can you build a smartphone app to capture these ideas and put it through to a website dashboard. So I kind of had a bit of an idea to work with, and we had feedback from those early users. So with everything, we've been really keen to just hear from everybody. So I knew what features I needed to bring in next, so that helped me for the next bit. And then we actually partnered with 2 NHS organisations. So Dr. Amar Shah at East London actually approached me on Twitter to say, can you come in and present your product, because I think it might have what we need. And that's where they helped design the other 2 feedback systems. So I honestly could not believe my eyes when that message came in. We still laugh about it today because, again, I went in, my slide deck was a little bit bigger at this point, but it was still really not great. And but he saw something. I think there is a real need. There's a lot of white papers that have been published about workforce morale in healthcare. So I think we are sort of right time. And they basically said, look, we'll pay and we'll co-develop with you. So that's what we did. So they paid for the license to use the platform, but they also paid in their time and their expertise in terms of developing it. And then we partnered with another organisation who basically said, we'll pay for licenses and we'll help you spread across London. So
what made him contact you specifically? Had he seen what was happening at Guy's, or something else?
So the accelerator that I was on gives you a lot of profile raising. The NHS really embraced Twitter as well. So a lot of these leaders are on Twitter. So which is odd for me because I came from the private sector and public companies. So you would never, ever put anything on Twitter. And I know I was talking to a few professional services folks earlier. You just wouldn't ever tweet that you'd had a great meeting or you'd seen something really cool, because if your share price moved, you'd be investigated. So he must have picked up on stuff on Twitter. I did take part in another accelerator program as well. So I interviewed for that, and you had to be revenue generating, which I ticked the box because I'd made £18,000. So I thought, that's fine. Even though when I got there, they were sort of talking six figures and more. And obviously I only had one customer at this time, but they saw something in me and they gave me a chance as the wildcard option. So combination of those 2 accelerators where they're competitive and they have to screen you out by them saying, ImproveWell's a company we're working with. I think that credibility really helped. So we won customer number 2 off the back of that, and actually elfed to customer number 4. And then it kind of went from there. So we're nearly at 20 organisations now.
And so the NHS, I've worked in the NHS. The NHS is notoriously difficult to work with, not only in terms of, the biggest hurdle is actually getting in and selling to them.
Yeah.
And even so, getting that first customer to 2, how long was the sales cycle there?
Yeah, that is a great question, because I think number 2 was the hardest, because it had been built for Guy's and St Thomas's, so convincing someone to try it was challenging. So actually I pitched, and it was Merseycare, the Director of Innovation, approached me in an event like this actually and just said, look, we'd love to try it. How can we try it? And as soon as someone saw I was working with Merseycare, they were like, oh, brilliant, well, we're a mental health organisation, so maybe we can give it a go. So that was Sussex Partnership, and then Elft, East London, a mental health trust. So I think they saw that on Twitter. And then the moment we were working with Elft, because they are outstanding, anything that they do, everybody, they take notice. So there are about maybe 10 organisations like that in the NHS, probably more up and coming. So that was my lucky break, really, was that partnership.
So going back to 2016, one customer.
Yeah.
By the end of 2016, were you on two then? Two customers?
Yeah.
So
two,
how long did the next two take? Were the next two the next year?
Yeah, so then it kind of snowballed, actually. So we kind of went from one or two customers in 2016, 2017, went to about 6 or 7. And I needed to start fundraising. So when I started the fundraising, it was January 2018, and I'd also launched a second version of the software as well. I don't know how in that time. And so January.
No, this was just still you.
Just still me, yeah.
So you were basically taking money from the customer and then paying that to the outsourced agency.
Yeah.
To sort of build a bit of a custom version of the app.
Yeah, and I'd funded it a bit myself as well because I had some savings from my previous career, so I wasn't taking a salary. So I was kind of resourceful in that sense. And then I was lucky because my first employee was someone that I'd worked with previously, so she joined me in September 2017. So that was a year later to help me raise money, essentially. So in January 18, we started raising money, and because of my background, I thought, I've got this. Investor relations, raising money.
Easy.
I've done the tech, I've sold to the NHS, what could possibly go wrong?
And so you started that search in January 2018?
Yeah.
Okay, so talk us through, and I can completely understand, having worked in investor relations, you would go in thinking, this is going to be relatively straightforward. Can you talk us, I suspect it probably wasn't, can you talk us through the process and the journey there?
Oh, yeah. So we started the fundraising process with about 5 customers, actually. So just to get that right. And I thought, okay, I've got 5 customers generating revenue. We'd done £18,000 in year 1. We were in year 2, and we probably, I finished year 2 at 142. So it's still a very small change, but still, we had NHS customers buying it. Man, that was the hardest fundraising I've ever done in my life. So I went in, we had a data room, we had everything that an institutional investor would expect.
So you had a data room?
Had a data room,
Excellent,
we had diligence materials, we'd done a due diligence questionnaire, which anyone who knows private equities, you ask all the questions the investor is going to ask and then answer the questions for them and have it there. No one wanted that. But we did it. We were super prepared.
Is this because you thought you were going to go? Did you start off thinking I'll go to private equity?
No, we just thought we'll be really organised
and just get it all ready.
And get it all ready. But what we didn't realise is, first of all, people were like, "Well, let me look at your numbers," and I was like, "Well, this is not a numbers investment at all." Others, would have 5 meetings and then say, "Oh, we can't invest because you deal with the NHS," which is on the first slide of my slide deck. So it kind of. It was a real eye-opener for me because when you sort of deal with angels, everyone's kind of different and everybody has their own passion and everybody wants you to be at a different stage of the business. And so the line of questioning was very fair, but not what I had prepared for, So I prepared for kind of strategy and global domination and all of this kind of stuff. But what people genuinely wanted to know was more, well, how quickly can NHS make the buying decision? And I didn't know that, I'd only had 5 customers. And other questions that really I just couldn't know because I was too early stage for some of these investors. And then you start feeling, sort of thinking, oh goodness, am I even investable? I don't really know. And it was interesting because we did have an early commitment. So very early on, Angels Den SEIS Fund were hugely supportive. So we started off with some really good momentum, and we did our first close on either the 4th or 5th of April, can't remember which one. But then it took us until August to close the rest, really. But what changed that was by the time we closed it, we had 11 customers. So we doubled our customer portfolio during the fundraising period.
But that's quite an amazing achievement, though, to carry on getting customers and do the investment when there's literally you and somebody else? Because getting investment's a huge time suck. I mean, it sort of distracts you from so many different things. So how did you... I think you may be underestimating your ability to carry on selling and get the investment. So you closed your first in 3 months, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and that allowed me to sign John. So we were talking to John in parallel. John and I have known each other for 10 years, so I knew I needed a tech person. So that first close on the same day, John signed his contract. So we kind of parallel tracked that as well.
So who was dealing with the customers who were using the product?
Oh, that was me as well.
That was you as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Liz, my first hire. So we sort of designed this process. We just worked really hard, and Liz's background is finance as well. So I think we sort of just used to working really long hours. But the customers were great, actually, because I think it was new and it was all very collaborative. We work really closely with our customers, so it was actually, even through any tricky points like bugs with the tech and things being late and that kind of thing, they were kind of in it with us and kind of wanting us to win, I think. And I don't really know where that goodwill has come from. I don't know whether it's... I don't really know what's galvanised that, but we definitely have really supportive early customers. But yeah, it's when you put it like that, I don't really know how we pulled that off, to be honest, because we worked really, really hard. I haven't really thought about it like that.
No, it's good. I mean, it's quite an achievement, though. So by August, you closed your angel round.
So we raised about just over 400,000.
Okay. So in total, that was around 7-8 months.
Yes.
In total. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what did you do with the money? Yeah. Obviously, you hired a product guy. Did you start paying yourself a salary, or did you
done that? I started paying myself a salary in June. So that was a big moment. We put it into the tech. So essentially, by the time I closed the fundraising, we'd launched what we call version 3. That was before your time, John, wasn't it? Yeah. And so we knew we needed to rebuild, essentially, because we needed the app to work offline, we needed it to be multi-language, we needed it to be multi-account. So it was a kind of rebuild project. So that was where the majority of the investment was going to go, to really just make it ready for kind of global domination. And then I needed to build out the team. So I hired John. It was really lucky, actually. Anna, who's my program engagement lead, she actually applied to a job for my co-founder's healthcare charity, and he forwarded it on saying, she's a nurse by background, she looks great, we don't have a job for her, but what about ImproveWell? And we interviewed her, and she's just perfect because, and she didn't really knew we existed, we hadn't marketed ourselves, so she was my next hire. To really, I think when you've got a nurse talking to other nurses or that kind of thing, she understands what the issues are. So I kind of designed my org chart, I knew who I needed to hire, and then as we were rebuilding the tech, people were still using the version 3, which had its limitations. So I just made sure I kept my customers close and let them know that we were rebuilding to get them excited about it. And that launched last month, actually. So
from August, you were at 11 customers?
Yes.
And this was only literally less than 12 months ago, so 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So you were at 11 customers then, and you're now at 20.
Nearly 20, yeah. And we're in one in New Zealand and one in the US.
Okay. So are these customers all inbound? So they're all coming to you? Are you doing any outbound? So they're all coming to you? Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually my marketing manager only started a couple of months ago, so we haven't done any marketing. Again, I think through the power of the NHS network and the accelerators we've been on and people kind of recommending us, everybody has come to us. I also didn't want to aggressively market something that wasn't quite ready. I'm quite a cautious person by my nature anyway, so I wanted to make sure that if we did scale it, it was going to be a good experience for people. So the time is now, really. So we've got the right team in place. We've got a team of 8. So we've built out program engagement, customer experience. We've got a data scientist working with Bournemouth Uni. So we're sort of making sure that we're collaborating with all of the right people, we now need to sort of sell as much of the product as we can.
So, and you're at about 20 customers now?
20 customers,
yeah. And is it now the time that you're starting to think about doing the marketing and going outbound?
Yes, so we've just started the outbound prospecting. We did actually go to our first event in the US in December, so that was our first kind of marketing spend, which was really scary because we had to buy flights and go over to Orlando, and it was a really expensive trip and we didn't really know. But the great thing about it was with the Institute of Healthcare Improvement, and they published a white paper in 2017, which our solution is a digital solution for, because that's what we partnered with East London to develop. So this conference could not have been more relevant for us. I mean, we turned up and everywhere we looked, it was, how can you restore joy to the healthcare workforce? How can you listen to the healthcare workforce? How can, so we had a great time on the stand. We got loads of people giving us their cards. So we've again told them a new platform was coming in the summer. So now we're starting to get in touch with those people now, but this is now the new phase of, how on earth do you market to people or sell to people who don't really want to be sold to, because we haven't really sold it to anyone yet. They've come to us.
So what made you go to the US when there are 100 and however many, I can't remember the number of how many health authorities and how many trusts there are in the UK? When you've got 20 and there are another 200 to go, what made you go to Miami?
So the IHI actually works with the NHS a lot. So the NHS kind of partner up with different leaders around the world to kind of build their improvement frameworks. So Alf work very closely with the IHI. They work very closely with Royal Cornwall. They work with quite a lot of our customers. So actually for us it was a perfect place to go, because we've got this digital solutions, their framework. Everybody looks to the Institute of Healthcare Improvements framework, including people not only in the NHS but global healthcare systems. So we saw a lot of our NHS customers out there as well, which was really nice. But the IHI and the British Medical Journal, BMJ, also do one in Glasgow, and they do a European one, so we were at that this year as well. So those two events have been really relevant for us, but now I think we need to figure out where else we need to be. But the NHS is easier because it's home. I can pop on a train, I can go and see people, so that does feel like, dare I say it, the easier place to start. But
where are you now? Have you got to the point where you're thinking you might need to go and raise some more money so you can grow more? How does that sit?
Yeah, so we're at that stage, I think, where we can make do. We can kind of get a contract. But at the moment, if we get a contract, I then decide, does it go on the tech? Does it go on the team? Does it go on increasing people's salary? Where does it go? So I think we're at the stage where we do need to fund the business properly, so that you're not making decisions based on just cash flow, because cash flow is something that I just worry about all the time. Maybe that will never go away, but if I can try and fund the business properly, that would be good. So the great thing is, when we raised money in January when we started to raise money in January last year, I predicted it would last between 10 to 12 months. So it's lasted longer. And we did exactly what we said we were going to do. We said we were going to get to 20 customers, and then we were going to try and go for global scale. So I've got my 20 customers. So I am hoping to go back to investors and say, look, I did what I said I was going to do. We now need to raise some more investment to really invest in the technology. The tech is great, but it always moves. It's never just going to stay as it is. And we've got very engaged customers who are like, it'd be great if you could add a button here, and if you could just do this. So we do really listen to what's going to make their lives easier. But I also need to hire a team to just make sure that we can scale the business functions properly.
And so would that be back to Angels, the Angels Day initially, or do you think you've gone beyond those now? Do you think you're now more institutional?
I think we're in a bit of a weird space, actually, to be honest. So we don't yet have the monthly recurring revenues that perhaps the VCs want to see. But I do think we've got very supportive existing investors, and I know that the Angels would definitely want to back us, because we're way more advanced than we were. So I think it might be a combination. I think it'd be great if we could attract a small VC that wants to also get involved a little bit with the business. But I think we're probably still a little bit too small. But again, if there is some angels that really want to invest in the business and help us scale this across the NHS or elsewhere, then we would welcome any supportive people in that sense. So I think the short answer is I don't know. I think we're going to go out and try and have a minimum that we're going to raise. But if it goes well, we could raise a little bit more.
I want to go back to a couple of things that you talk about, just so that this worry about payroll.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that a little bit? Because I think that's one of the things that nobody tends to think of, the fact that when you start employing people, you have to pay them every month.
Yeah.
How much of a worry is it for you?
I think that's probably my biggest worry. So my team are amazing, I have to say. I'm so lucky to have attracted a really talented bunch of people who have either taken pay cuts or just massive leaps of faith to leave really established careers, essentially, to come and join this startup. And I think a lot of that is about personal equity. I think people want to be involved in a business that's helping the NHS. I think everybody's super passionate about healthcare and building something that helps the healthcare workforce. So I definitely don't want to be in a position where I can't pay them. We probably pay below market rate at the moment as well. So again, we've got share options and things like that. So I do want everybody to own a bit of the business and reward them in that sense. But I can't last on that goodwill forever. So again, I think the fundraising would be good because it would be nice to bring everybody up to where they should be. But yeah, I don't really ever want to be in a situation where I'm saying to people that I can't pay them this month. And so
have you been close?
I think we're getting close. I try and not run it too close to the wire. But we've had some delays on some big contracts and things like that where the first thing in my mind is, oh goodness, okay, it's a delay, which means it's still coming, but cash flow wise, particularly if we're investing in the tech and things like that, it is tricky. And I feel a huge sense of personal responsibility as well. I don't kind of view any of my team as just someone coming in and doing a job and then they go home, and if they leave, I'll just get someone else. They're all really exceptional people, so I feel a huge sense of personal duty to them as well. This is their careers. I want ImproveWell to do well. I want them to do well. So I've got to fund the business. That's my job, I think.
In terms of your customers, one of the things, the other thing you mentioned that I want to talk about briefly is you stay close to your customers and you get a lot of feedback from them. Yeah. How do you do that? Is that literally just you and your team picking up the phone? How does that work?
So I think a lot of it at the moment has been, so I know all the customers at the moment, which is again something that won't scale because it can't just be me. So I'm quite a collaborative person anyway. So the early feedback we had, obviously when I was running the tech on an outsourced basis, I could decide what I thought was going to be right for the customer, and that went in. John now does all of that, but all of the customers are in touch with him as well. So what we try to do is run workshops every 6 months where we go physically to the customers that want it, essentially. Not all of them want it, to say, okay, well, what's going to make your life easier. We've got different user levels as well. So you've got your frontline user, but then you've also got people leading it and looking at all the data coming in. So we can't have the system being all things to all people. So we do need to be quite focused in terms of not promising the world to people. But again, because we're working with similar customers, they usually want the same thing. So we then know if this is going to satisfy the majority of our customer base. That's kind of how we do our roadmap. So it's brilliant for us because we hopefully we know that we're building a valuable product for our customers. So it's worked so far. But as we scale, I think we're sort of keen to formalise it a bit more. So whether we set up more of a process in terms of, give us your feedback, whether we start surveying our customers and doing it stuff that way, we might consider. But at the moment, we've got very personal relationships with them, so we do know what they need, which is helpful.
Can we talk about product market fit for a moment?
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time talking with startups, and they always ask me, how do you know when you've got product market fit? And my response is typically, if you have to ask, you generally haven't got it. Have you got a view of what makes you think you've got product market fit, and how would you explain to everybody what that is in your mind?
Oh, that's a really hard question. So our product has been developed on the back of evidence. So there were a couple of reports published in 2013. One was called the Kia Review, one was called the Berwick Report, which concluded that you've got to listen to the frontline staff. So these are published recommendations to say, ask your workforce, they've got the answers, you've got to engage with them a bit more. And then the NHS staff survey results come through, they're publicly available. So a lot of organisations need to prove that they are asking the people who are delivering care, how do we improve the level of care that we're giving our patients? And then the white paper was published by the IHI, which is when we partnered up with East London and also UCL Partners, which is an academic health science network, to deliver our solution. So for me, my view of our product market fit is we've got sort of publications and papers calling for a solution. We've co-developed a solution with our customers, and 20 customers have paid for it. So I'm comfortable that we're onto something. I might be wrong, but that's how we're comfortable that the product is right. And now we just need to sell it. Now, if we get to a point where we can't sell it anymore, then it might be a different issue. But yeah, I honestly don't know how I would answer that in any other business, to be honest, because I just feel like ImproveWell is everything that I know. And I've been in every conversation, I've met every customer, I've done everything to date in terms of the customers. So I feel pretty like I've got a pretty strong view on what they want.
And I think the reason that I ask is that I think a lot of the times when you talk to people about it, the people that sort of generally, it's as much as you can argue about what it is, there's always tends to be a feeling that it's sort of there.
Yeah.
And I think we'll come back to this. We talked to Nuno earlier, and hope we'll talk to Nuno about this in July, I think. Is it July we're talking in on you? I think so. And we'll come back to this because we were talking a little bit about this earlier about market coming to you as opposed to you going to the market. And I think that's the timing element of it is pretty key. Yeah,
so it has felt like market pull for us. But I definitely don't feel any comfort in that whatsoever because, it's still extremely challenging in healthcare anyway. There's huge barriers to entry, and I knew that from my biotech days anyway. But yeah, we haven't marketed. People have come to us. We've generated revenue from those sales, and we've got a brand new shiny product which everyone's really happy with. So fingers crossed.
And who's your competition?
Oh, yes.
You don't have to say their names if you don't want to.
Yeah, no. So there's a few. I mean, we've mapped our competition in a few different ways actually. So we've mapped it in the sense of products that people would use and then definitely not use ours. Products that are then complementary, so kind of co-competition. And then ones that sort of do little bits of what we do. So at the moment, there's nothing that does everything that we do in the way that it's been designed. There are a lot of sort of staff engagement platforms out there that encourage idea capture, innovation capture, and things like that, but they wouldn't do the workforce sentiment piece that we've designed for the IHI framework, and they wouldn't do the pulse surveys in the way that they're designed. Obviously surveys, there's loads of companies out there that deliver surveys. Our platform's not a social platform, so everything's confidential at the point of capture until you choose to feed that information back, which again is really important in healthcare because social platforms are great if everybody's rowing in the same direction, but if you just get a lot of frustration and a lot of massive problems that can't immediately be solved, it's a bit demotivating for people when they see that nothing's happening. So we've built something that is manageable for a pressured workforce, shall I say, to ask the questions but then triage it as it comes in and in a manageable way and communicate back in a manageable way. So I don't have a direct competitor, and I haven't yet found a situation where someone have said we haven't bought ImproveWell because we've bought this. But we have heard of other products that people are sort of trialling on the engagement front or on the survey front or on the idea innovation management front. But at the moment, even our customers have said there's nothing out there like this just yet. So again, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because it's only a matter of time before there is. But equally, maybe if we're the first in this form, that's also quite hard, I think, to convince people when we do start selling, you need this. So the evidence base is really important for us.
Excellent. Right, I've still got more questions, but looking at the time, we need to open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions for Lara?
They love it. Yeah, they love it. So we work typically with quality improvement teams who are very methodical in how they approach improvement. And then increasingly we're working with organisational development, workforce, directors of HR. We kind of see it as just a digital solution to help them do their job better. So, and we don't encroach in sort of the more statutory annual staff survey or all the other things we need to do. It's more, can we give you some information well ahead of that to see if there's anything...
well in front of your annual
Exactly.
360s.
Exactly. So they kind of see it as very complementary, because then they can get a sense check of how the organisation is well before that sort of obligatory, you need to complete your staff survey now. I need to. So RCP, yes. I haven't got round to the others yet, but yeah, we absolutely need to. I just want to make sure I understand the question for you. So service consumption in terms of
Pay as you use.
Pay as you use.
Pay as you.
So we're enterprise software. So they give it to the workforce for free. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we sell into the organisation, and then all of the workforce use it for free. So because it's an engagement platform, we need someone to be responsible for the data. So we empower kind of local leaders. So it might be a service manager or a matron on a ward, or a service improvement lead who says, right, I'm going to run this, I'm going to use this software with my team of 80 people, 200 people, and that's how we get it. But for us, it's B2B. That is a great question, actually. That is a really good question. So I think, and I know a lot of my fellow CEOs and things, and I think regardless of how great the product is, there's a huge relationship element, I think, especially with the customer base that we're dealing with. I think my job is, to bring the right team together and have the right product so that it isn't, it's not scalable if it's reliant on me. It sort of goes down more of the consulting model, which is not what we're building here. We want to build a phenomenal product that people love, that changes their working lives, that ultimately then transforms healthcare. So I like I said earlier, I've got an amazing team, and particularly the customer-facing team, I get so much positive feedback from my customers on them as well, that I know I've picked, the right people. We're going to definitely make the wrong hires as well. So I think as we grow, people's going to become a bigger challenge as well for me. But I'm really keen to hire people that can live the company values. So I'm really big on mission, vision, values, and getting everybody knowing where we're going. But yeah, the business can't live or die on me. So I have to find a way. But I think for me, the partnerships and things we have with our bigger customers is where I spend my time, and I still do some customer-facing stuff there. But increasingly, my program engagement team just lead the way now, which is really nice to see as well. Yeah, I think we're not on the disruptive side of things for sure, and again, maybe that's me as a personality as well. I think because we've sort of gone on this evidence-based approach and been led by this market pull, we've sort of approached it in a much more kind of collaborative way. Now, I don't know if that's going to work for us. Maybe we do need to take more of a disruptive approach and say, this is the platform, and we're going to shake things up. But at the moment, because it's a system that is very aligned with what the drivers are at the moment on a local and a national level, it's a lot easier for us anyway to be in the discussions with the right people at the right time.
And I'm not sure there's any real difference. A lot of disruptive plays are based on the fact that nobody's given the customer what they really want in the first place. So if you look at a lot of disruption in the finance industry is based on customers not having the financial products that they absolutely wanted.
You don't know what you don't know, so you have to hedge your bets, right? If you want to be seen to add value,
you have to know your customer base and to innovate. And you might be right, you might be wrong. It doesn't mean you go all in, right?
No, I think if you're wrong, then the product will tell you that you're wrong and customers won't buy it. In a SaaS product-led business, if you've got a great product, people will buy it because they love the experience and they love the product. And to me, that's where...
In the first instance, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Disruptive is that...
Yeah, but that's just recognising the problem. If you recognise the problem and build it really, really well, you're not necessarily being that disruptive. You're just being really good at recognising the problem and understanding it.
So disruption in the NHS is a word you use.
Oh, well, yeah. I think that's kind of...
Interruption.
It's
maybe.
true.
Interruption.
But that's quite a good point, actually, because if we came out and we were like, you need to listen to us, we're changing everything, I think people would be too frightened to try it. So with the organisation...
private.
We should go private.
No,
do you think?
they would go
private.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's right, Sue. Is that certainly there is a nervousness to try something new anyway in the NHS. So, sorry.
Yeah, that's what
yeah. We've tried to. Yeah.
So the last thing I want to mention briefly, we're a little bit on time, is so the recent thing where you became an entrepreneur in residence for the BMJ. So can you explain what that is? Because entrepreneur in residence means something a million and one things to a million different people. So could you explain what that is and how that came about?
Yes. So the British Medical Journal, which I read at university, they're 160 years old, brilliant reputation, having the same issues as all of us, really, in the sense of now working in a digital era. They're a huge knowledge provider, huge amount of content, and they need to kind of move with the times. So they set up what they called BMJ New Ventures in 2016, actually, so quite a while ago. And it started off as an initiative of we want to work with smaller companies who are nimble and flexible and perhaps partner up with them to help us understand the NHS and the healthcare system better. So they approached me and again, they sort of put together a programme. So I'm the first one, and I'm there to kind of shape their programme. But what they want to do is they want to innovate themselves. So they've got a whole suite of digital products. So each one is kind of like a mini ImproveWell, and they've got the same challenges I've got. So part of my commitment to them is running workshops and mentoring and getting them thinking in a similar way, kind of like this, in terms of sharing my stories and what I've done. They also make investments in companies, and no one really knows about that. So that's also a new thing. So part of my commitment is to spread the word amongst my community and let people know that they are an investor and they want to put sort of patient capital to play, where they're not going to behave like a VC, because they're not. But if you want the BMJ as an investor in your company, that might be a really incredible move for you. And then really to help shape their programme going forward. So how can they work with people like me and ultimately to help them innovate, essentially. So
is this your circuitous route to becoming a doctor?
Yeah, exactly. I'm finally getting in there.
Honorary doctor.
No, to be honest, actually, before I took the leap to do ImproveWell, I was speaking to my very supportive boyfriend who is there about doing postgrad medicine, because that was the choice, really. I thought, do I leap and do ImproveWell, or do I use the savings I've made to put myself through postgrad medicine? And I chose ImproveWell, so I'm all in on ImproveWell. But it is very, very nice to work with BMJ as well, because they're just, again, a phenomenal group of people. Some of them have been there for years, very passionate about that organisation. And so I'm really pleased that they've chosen me to help them on their journey.
Great. Right, we have time for one final question. Go on, Nuno.
So that is my pitch to my investors now, essentially. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Because at the moment we've built the product, for scale. But as I said, the roadmap doesn't really stop. So I think, moving towards a complete self-service option would be fantastic. So optimising everything that we're doing essentially would make it, 10 times, if not more, easier. So yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where I don't want to be making the decision between, okay, I've just got this contract, is it going to go on a person, is it going to go to John and his tech budget, is it going to, because it's just so hard to make that choice. I think we just need to take that away and know, this is what we're investing in the technology, because, then people are going to be able to use it wherever they are in the world, onboard themselves, off they go. And then we just run helpful webinars and bits and pieces. So yeah, absolutely. We're not too far away from that, to be honest. But we still need to, get there and do that properly.
Excellent. Right, thank you everybody. We're a little bit over time, but I hope you think it was worthwhile. If we could just say thank you to Lara in the normal way, that'd be great. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Lara.